Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dev Diary, where today we build the impossible. So before we do so, remember to leave a like if you enjoy the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and make sure notifications are turned on so you don't miss future videos. Now, a bit of setup is in order. First, today's project was inspired by the lovely yet oh so frustrating game Mozzolina. In short, Mozzolina is a puzzle game where the player must collect all the apple-like things and then exit the level, using whatever means necessary. The twist is, the tools given to the player to accomplish these goals are completely random, which, even by the creator's own admission, means that sometimes levels are simply impossible to beat due to bad RNG. So, as the king of bad RNG, it felt fitting to create something in similar vein, which brings us to today's project. And since we just finished a project using our new isometric system, we're doing it again for this project. Now, outside of presentation, the other major difference in our version is that the goal is to simply destroy the evil mobile skull by any means necessary. This can be done by either having it touch the spike, which always spawns in a random location, or knock it off the stage entirely. However, the player will also perish if they touch the spike or fall off the stage. So spatial awareness is key here. Now, let's start off with the most basic aspect of this project, the enemy. It continuously moves towards the player's position at all times, and because of the isometric nature, it wasn't possible to use gamemaker's built-in pathfinding to avoid the spike. Though I am happy to say that since working on this project, this issue will no longer be a thing moving forward. Anyway, in order to avoid having the player simply kite the enemy into the spike, a check is made while the enemy is moving, and when it gets too close to that spike, we just push it away. Unfortunately, it's not 100% effective by like a pixel or two, but this is mostly due to the weirdness of the hitboxes in isometric games. Now, as stated, both player and enemies react to spikes and falling off the stage pretty similarly, and they also share behaviors with all the different types of items that the player can spawn, a lot of which were directly inspired by Mozzolina. Starting with a simple bullet, the player may only get one shot with this item, but one shot is all that's needed to win the round. Item 2 is the bumper, which, like Mozzolina, will knock both player and enemy around like a game of pinball. A wonderful tool to utilize with spikes or the edges of the level. The third item is a shield, which will consistently push the enemy in the direction that it's moving. Admittedly not the most useful of items, and certainly not the last on this list. Item number 4 is the sucker, which when deployed will pull both the player and enemy to its position, which is great for reeling unsuspecting targets straight to their doom. Item number 5 is the blower, which is basically the inverse of the sucker, pushing both player and enemy away from its position. Again, a wonderful tool to blow everyone away. Item number 6 is the deleter. Pretty self-explanatory. Simply click on the enemy and poof, job done. Though it is still entirely possible to miss with this single-use item, which is totally okay. We all have our off days. And believe it or not, we're only halfway through the list here. So let me take a quick break to just say, hey, you look great today, and I hope that you're having a wonderful day. And also, if you enjoy these videos and would like to help me keep making them, consider supporting me on Patreon. You can get access to some exclusive content and game downloads, and even early access to the weekly Dev Diary videos before they're released on YouTube. Alright, on to the second half of the list, handsome. Item 7 is Gun. That's right, it's a gun that fires a random item from the list, other than another gun. It's one use only, so make sure that shot counts because it fires in the direction that it lands in. Item number 8 is the Buddy. These little friends can be spawned in the world and act as extra lives for the player. So when deployed, if the player meets an untimely end, instead of failing the level, they are teleported to one of these tiny green folk who are then immediately consumed. And in response to any moral concerns you may have, well, you get two. So do with that knowledge what you will. Item number 9 is the teleporter. It's kind of like the Buddy, but it can be placed with a left click and then activated by left clicking again. This will consume the portal, and yes, when done in the void, it will result in a fail. So be sure to practice safe teleportation. Item number 10 is the speed pad. Similar to the bumper, when a player or enemy steps on the speed pad, they will be flung in the direction that the pad is pointing. And just like the bouncer, should be used with extreme caution. And our final item is just a good old rocket. Much like the bullet, it's a one shot, but with the added benefit of an explosion on impact. Meaning if the shot doesn't get the job done, maybe the explosive force that follows will. And that's all the items. Again, a lot of these items are very similar in nature or not very useful, but if there is one thing that both Mozzolina and our version share, is that it's definitely possible to lose. Though our project isn't very balanced and not in a good way. The honest truth is that the project was done pretty last minute because 2 previous project attempts before this ended up not working out. And not in a fun, oh, let's make a video about the fail kind of way either. So I would love to come back to this one with a more fleshed out concept, which I've already got some ideas for, like the addition of walls, pitfalls, etc. So yeah, in the meantime, share your own thoughts and ideas of what other items we could add, and let me know if you've played Mozzolina for yourself. It's honestly a great game as long as you're aware that you will fail, and you kind of gotta be okay with that. And if you did play Mozzolina, what did you think of it? And with that said, brings us to the end of today's Dev Diary, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.